Good morning, everybody. Orange J here with another Zenless Zone Zero video, and we've got a day one tier list to cover for the game. I just came off my first ever live stream of the game. It was 5 hours long, had a blast, but I want to see what the end game potential of the units that I pulled was. I only have one S rank. I got a few A ranks. I want to see where I'm at. And if you want to see where your account's at, let me share this tier list with you right here. This is Prydwen.gg's Zenless Zone Zero Shiyu Defense tier list. This site, I'm using it. They do the best tier list for like Hoyoverse games or AFK games, any game that I've played that I haven't had to make my own tier list for. This is the site I use. Their analysis is really good. It's based off of the end game. I mean, this is a skill-based game. You can beat the story. You can do most of the things with pretty much any character you want. But if you want to see how your account is going to stack up based on what's out there and what the hardest version of the game is, Shiyu Defense, here's where you want to look. Let's take a peek at this. We're sorted into 3 categories. We've got DPS units, stun units, and support units. There is a clear gap, right? I think the first thing that stood out to me here was we've got Ellen, the first premium banner character, which it shouldn't be a surprise that she's good. She's the only tier 0 character in their DPS. The only like standard banner 5-star that hits tier 0 is Lycan. So that's interesting. Let's use him for a second. Now, Lycan's not somebody that I wanted to pull in this game, but I mean, look where he ranks. If I had hit him, I might have considered keeping him. One thing I love about this site, you can come down here, it'll break down their basic attack, their dodge, their assist, all of this info's on here, but they also just write up reviews. If you want like TLDRs of like why these characters are so good or so bad, this is the place you want to go. If you look at Lycan, he has a ton of pros, right? Additional ability amplifies the standard stun multiplier by 35%, increasing your team burst. You could just go on and read about all the good things that Lycan does, and they only have one con for him. Charging up basic attacks and chaining them together requires a little bit of timing to ensure time isn't wasted in between each attack. Literally, it looks to me like Lycan is the best 5-star or S rank, standard character in the game. It just requires like a little bit of skill to pull him off. So I'd say if you pulled Lycan, you should be feeling pretty good about yourself. Another thing that I like about this site, if you pulled Lycan, you could build an ice team with him. So you can sort by ice and you can see that he has a really solid team. You have Ellen, which you would have to go to the premium banner to pull. As a DPS, you could pair with him. You could also pair Sokaku. They have her at a 0.5 support level, which is really good. So ice, looking really good, is maybe one of the strongest elements. It looks like by far the strongest element in the game at launch. That's interesting. Now for me, the 5-star that I pulled, I've only pulled one. I've done just over my 50 like newbie pulls. I pulled Soldier 11 and I was actually okay with that. If I look at Soldier 11 right here and we go to their review for her, you can see she has a team of competitive A rank options. What they mean by that is, if you go to the tier list, you can sort by fire, and Soldier 11 does have 2 A ranks that are like usable. They're not down here in tier 3. You got Ben, who I have been running with her, and I do like Ben. Like, I know he's not the highest ranked character, but I do like my Ben. And then for support, I need to go find Lucy. I don't have a Lucy yet, but I'm sure she'll come home eventually. You could catch Colita as another fire character. The big drawback for our girl Soldier 11 right here is if you look at her profile, she is an S rank character, fire attack, but she's in the OBOLS squad. There's not another one of those. Like if we sort by faction and we go OBOLS squad, you can't build a team with her in that. She's the only one. So to me, that means there's like future potential there for her. But yeah, right now you got to build a fire team if you want to get those like happy character buffs. I do have Ben. Those are the only 2 fire characters I have. So I've just been using like another support. I've been using Nicole with my team. I'm still happy with my pull. And honestly, if I'm looking at this list, one thing it looks to me like that Zenless Zone Zero devs have done a good job of, you seem to have a decent balance right now in the game. If you are Judging based again on in-game potential of your characters, your S ranks tend to be higher priority than your A ranks. I think that's important. There is the occasional outlier, and we'll look at Sokaku here in a minute, and we'll look at Lucy as the 2 highest A ranks. We'll kind of go over those here in a second. But your S ranks tend to be higher, and most of them are in this like tier 1 or tier 0.5 category, with your first premium unit, as no surprise, probably being a little overpowered, and Lycan seeming to be good as well. So I think no matter what S rank you pulled, you at least could use them, and there's the potential that you don't have to just like trash your account if you like them, which I do appreciate that. Now, I wanted to look at Sokaku for a minute right here. A rank character, Ice attribute support, from section 6. Let's see what they say about her. So Sokaku gains a buff that grants herself an absurd 1000 flat attack that can be transferred to the next character. That's going to be one of the big reasons for her. Her being able to like pass that attack around. She grants a team 20% additional ice damage after consuming a full set of 3 vortex charges. So building her around an ice team seems to be a really good idea. All buffs she applies last a long time, making her easier to play. Deals a strong amount of ice anomaly with most of the attacks she uses, played as a dedicated support, and despite having an ice theme additional ability, can be used to support non-ice damaging characters, which might be a reason, like with that attack buff they talked about, I might think about working her into my fire team until I have Lucy over here as my fire support. Her cons requires a high amount of personal attack, so like you're gonna need to like be leveling her W engine, like building some attack into her, and it just goes on. Now Lucy here, I'm very curious to see, because I'm not all about the lollies in this game, right? Like I'm not all about lollies in any of my games. I do like the Kaiser helmet, like the weird German outfit get up here, just kind of underdressed for a little kid. Let's see what the review is here. She only has 2 cons, so that's good. A lot of pros. Has up to 3 pet guard boars that attack, dealing small amount of damage, and the daze is probably the big thing there. Guard boars stay on the field and keep attacking when she leaves the field. I like characters that do this. Rena, or Lena, did I say it right? Rena also does this with her puppets, so it's like maybe it's kind of like Lena light, at least in that regard. Grants the whole squad, including the Bangbu and guard boars, 600 flat attack buff. You love to see that. Very easy to play. That's a big one for me. So like this A rank is a target for my account. So there you go. That's Prydwen's tier list. If I was looking at it and trying to make some like sweeping statements, if you look at the elements, physical, yeah, it didn't really work out for them in terms of like in-game power. I do think Billy is really fun to play. We all have Corin. She seems okay. Nekomata, you get to play her in the story very early. She does feel very fast and powerful, but not a ton of power in the physical. Fire, a little bit more power in this like tier 1 area, and 2 A ranks, which shouldn't be too hard to get. Seems sort of balanced. Ice seems like the most overpowered thing in the game. Like, look at it. You got a DPS, a stunner, and a support for a 3-man team. They're going to put in work for you. Electric, you have the best support unit in the game probably right now with Rena. You have a tier 1 Grace for a damage dealer, and then you have you have a stunner here in Anby, who we all have and can play with Anton for your another DPS if you don't have Grace. And then Ether, yeah, so Ether right now is only Nicole. Nicole, much like Soldier 11, if you're trying to build her, you're going to need to lean into her faction, and her faction being the Cunning Hares. Let's go Cunning Hares. You do have other options, right? So come to this. I'm going to link that. Like I said, I'm going to link this site in the description. Come here. Play with this for like some team building options. Think about if your account does what you want it to do, or check out my reroll guides if you really feel like rerolling. It's a pain in this game. Rerolling in this game is not the funnest thing in the world, but there we go. There's the day 1 tier list. There is, click on those. Go there, click those units, see what they say about them. I'm loving my Soldier 11. I'm going to keep rolling with her, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.